It's a Celebra Friday.
It is a Celebra Friday.
And we have a very special guest on the line, and Patrick O'Neill. He has covered the Lakers, Dodgers, Kings, college football, and I'm sure a tons more before he got to the big time on Fox Sports. But he is joining us on the line. And Patrick, thank you for stopping by your hometown station.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I would have made the trip to Santa Clarita until I heard the weather report. It was in the 30s.
Yeah.
It was a little cold.
Yeah, a little chill. Yeah, you're over in like Santa Monica or something, right?
Yeah, right. No, Beverly Hills.
Oh, okay. Big time.
Yeah.
Big time. Okay.
Yeah, it's 75 here.
Oh, not bad, not
God.
bad. Okay, so I think we should dive into this first.
Sure.
And I think the Ducks fan incident. I feel like we should dive into that first.
Okay.
And then we'll get into maybe your background a little bit. But what is this? I hear
Well,
stories.
who sets up the story, me or Jesse?
I've never heard his side of the story, so I want to hear
Well, my side of the story is when I first, got hired by Fox Sports West and Prime Ticket, which would have been end of 2004, 2005, and that was the lockout year, and there was a bunch of, I was like the low man on the totem pole, and I wanted a team to call my own, and I was essentially kind of replacing a guy that moved on to radio, Van Wright. He had done the Kings, and I was a huge hockey fan, huge Kings fan. I asked my bosses if I could be the guy to host the Los Angeles Kings, and basically my persistence paid off, and, the first year out of the lockout, I was hosting, back then I think it was called Break the Ice, right, I believe, and we had Marty McSorley was my co-host, and we were doing pre-intermissions and post-game, and it was great, but I had to fill in on Ducks games as either a reporter or a fill-in host because I'm the low man on the totem pole and you don't say no to your bosses. So what started to happen is Kings fans started to get a little upset that I was essentially the main Kings host, but on other times, maybe 6 to 10 or 3 to 5 games a year, I was down in Anaheim filling in. And then I think when I did, Solani might have had some milestone, and I was interviewing him on the ice, and Timo Solani is like one of the great hockey players of all time, and I was pretty enthusiastic and excited about the moment. And I started to hear it from Kings fans, when I'd be outside Staples. Now we're looking like 2008, 2009, somewhere in there, 2010, 2011, I'm not sure. And, they would, every once in a while people would start screaming at me like, you're an a-hole. What are you doing down there in Anaheim? And I would just say, look, I got to feed my kids, man. Christmas.
Of course,
right?
Yeah.
But then it all really escalated when it was April Fool's Day, and Kings would lose. If they lost, they'd come right on camera to me, and I would have to just say some nonsense that probably nobody wanted to hear. I had to fill for like 20 seconds, and then set up the post game, and then somebody would join me throughout the entire post game show. Jesse was back there with a sign that said, "Patrick O'Neill is a Ducks fan." But, I didn't see it. So, and my producer and director in the truck never told me, hey, turn around, April Fool's, maybe you can make some light of that. They just kind of let it sitting there the whole postgame show. And since then, Jesse could probably pick it up from there. I don't know, did you post it or something on the hockey board?
Yeah, I think I posted on the boards a couple times, like the Kings boards, and then I did a couple other signs.
Even after that?
Yeah, I did a couple after. I don't think you noticed because before we won the Stanley Cup, the crowds were a lot smaller back then at the post-game show. It was pretty much me and the season ticket holder that was been there since '67,
right.
That are waving.
We have a couple more than that.
Yeah, we have a couple more now. But I guess I'm saying I've been watching the Kings since I was a young boy, and you have too. So, we weren't the best back then. Mm-hmm. So, obviously as we win, the crowds continue to grow and grow. So I think as we started to grow a little bit more, I fell further and further in the back so you could see my sign less and less. But the real answer is I got more and more scared of you about you responding, so I tried to hide so you wouldn't find me.
Yeah,
but that's the real story.
Well, it was the main, the one that was front and center was the only one that I saw, but they told me about it afterwards. But it sort of created, I believe, it seemed like a real sort of vitriol towards me in a sense as, I don't know if it sort of turned on to more people kind of, joking, let's try to get a rise out of them. But I think for the most part, I would consider that a small scale size of, people that truly know that I'm a Kings guy and always have been, and I was just doing my job as asked.
Now, let me tell my side of the story. Now, what he said is, Kyle, I'm going to tell you the truth. It's exactly true. Everything, 100% of it. And listen, it was a few years ago. I was a lot younger then. I wasn't as mature, right? So, that's from a fan perspective, Kyle, it was Kings versus Ducks. And I'm thinking, if you're a Dodgers fan, you don't want Vin Scully doing Dodgers and then going down and doing Angels games.
No.
And that's how I felt. Because Pat, he was our guy, at least for a lot of fans, he was our guy. He was our representative. So I felt like they're trying to pump up this freeway face-off series, you know what I'm saying? Done by the same guy. So he's like, what side you on, guy? Pick a side. So I think that was a little animosity as much as Kings fans want to make it out to be. Now, the one thing that ticked me off, though, is Patrick's professionalism bothered me so much, I had to throw him off. And I tried. And he took it in stride like a professional, and that made me more upset as a kid.
That's nice of you to say. It was, between us and anybody listening, it'd be distracting, we were trying to talk and people would scream at you and you'd be like, man, that's like ridiculous. And then other people might hear that. I'm like, God, I don't mind like if somebody thinks that, but I don't want some little kid that's like watching me and going, Dad, why is he a Ducks fan? Because it's just not true, but I was doing my job. But what I did say, because, suddenly like Tim Leiweke and, even Luke and Jamie Compom would always, give me a hard time when I would come out to the bench to do interviews, when you go into the Ducks. And it started to, if it's bothering the organization, I approached my boss and I said, listen, let's try to, if you need me to work something else, I'll work something else, but let's just try to keep me to one team. And this might have been, 2009 or something, 2010. It was definitely the year before the year they won it, where I was just, specifically just the Kings. And I would go down to Anaheim to cover, those games on the road, but no more was I like filling in on Ducks Live or serving as a sideline reporter for the Anaheim Ducks. So, it's all good now, and every once in a while a couple people still yell it, but for the most part it's tapered off. And I appreciate Jesse making the effort to create a news sign saying that Patrick O'Neill is a Kings fan.
Yes.
And I'm sorry, but he only did that on a show that, wasn't off an actual game. It was our Kings Live post-game show in the playoffs, and we don't come off the game because it's a national audience only. So probably less people saw that. And I don't recall an actual board being. Did you post that on a hockey board so people can create a whole chat room about that?
I'm not sure. I have to
that's a no,
check
Patrick. That's a no.
Sources. And you know what? I'm making a public apology now. Patrick O'Neill, I apologize for my previous actions, and I am so sorry.
Accepted.
Okay. And you are a true Kings fan, and I appreciate that very much.
I've suffered through some hard times. We got some good picks, and then them winning the Stanley Cup was the highlight of my sportscasting career. Just being down on the ice and interviewing those guys after everything they went through was. I've seen some other really cool moments in sports, but that moment, was forever. Was forever the one that'll be at the top.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, as just a local guy, obviously that is my top moment as a super Kings fan. But so you've been in the back, you said you're not so much in the locker room, but you are back there interacting with the guys, interviewing them on a daily basis, as games go along. But tell us, the story. You said you were at the low man of the totem pole, but give us the lowdown on your history as far as being a sportscaster.
Well, I started in like 2000, and I got a job at Fox Sports Radio doing updates, and I got the overnight shift, so I worked 12 to 5 a.m. Monday to Friday, and then that was pretty bad in the beginning. I must say I made a lot of mistakes, but maybe my bosses were asleep, so they didn't hear them. And back then they couldn't even really record on anything, so it was so long ago. But, then I got the 6th day. So I was hosting a show on Saturday, so radio was going well, and then I got some auditions on TV, and then in 2002 got some TV work at Fox Sports Net, let the radio go, and just started to pursue the television. And I just did some national shows for Fox Sports Net, Totally Football, Ultimate Fantasy Football Show, and I hosted an Arena Football League show, Minnesota Sports Tonight out of L.A., Quarterback Confidential, a bunch of their national updates. You'd always sort of sit at the desk. So I got a lot of, television experience. And then in end of 2004, I felt that it was time I wanted to just make a switch, and I was able to get that because when Vanner left, went down to West, and I've been there ever since. So Lakers, Clippers, Kings, USC, UCLA. In 2005, I got to do some national work, did games 3, 4, and 5 of the NLCS.
Uh-huh.
Remember when Pujols hit that big home run, right, in Houston? Yeah. I was the first guy to interview him then.
It was a very big home run.
Studio stuff for Big Fox, and then last year got Lakers left, so I wasn't doing Lakers anymore. They went to Time Warner. But last year I did NFL game breaks and college football hosting and game breaks. Didn't get the NFL game breaks this year, but have been working college football all season long, doing game breaks and updates on Fox Sports 1 and Big Fox. And tomorrow is like this huge day for me because I'm going to fill in for Rob Stone. He's going to Indy for the Big Ten Championship, so I'm going to be hosting with Petros and Coy Wire from on national television all day tomorrow. So I'm just preparing for that. And then Sunday I've got to host a lot awards, which is also college football, the Lot Impact Trophy award ceremony. That's also a national show. So, a little stressful right now. And I leave Monday it's a 4-game trip, right, with the Kings.
Yeah.
I don't know, Montreal. Start Montreal, Toronto, Ottawa, Chicago. So crazy time, but it's a lot of fun.
Sports.
That's crazy.
All right, Patrick. Excuse me. We are. Can we take a break? Can we? Yeah, I know. You got me all thinking. Young Santa Monica boy covering LA sports. I love it. We're going to take a quick break. Can you hang on the line?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So Patrick O'Neill, he is the Fox Sports analyst, and he does. He just explained a ton of different sports. So we're going to talk more with him.
And a Kings fan.
And he is a Kings fan. We have established that. And we'll talk more with him. This is your hometown station, AM 1220 KPL, doing that game. So big game tonight. But Patrick O'Neill is joining us on the phone, and he has covered the Lakers, Kings, college football, and a ton more. And he joins us on the line, and we do appreciate you stopping by, Patrick.
My pleasure. Celebra Friday.
Celebra Friday, yeah.
Celebra.
Yeah.
Friday.
Celebra Friday.
So you're a celebrity.
Where do you rank, man, in terms of like the history of Celebra Friday?
Well, we had Charlie Steiner on.
Yeah.
And he's in the Radio Hall of Fame.
All right, never mind.
So you're second place, probably.
Yeah. In between, that and Rikishi, the WWF wrestler.
Yeah,
so you're in the mix.
You're in the mix. So a wide range of celebrities on this show.
But that being said, so you have a long resume, what you've just went through, that you've established yourself. Not boring at all. Well, unless you hate sports, but it's a great. But you come from a long family of on-screen personality. Your dad's Ryan O'Neill, and your siblings Tatum, so on and so forth. Long entertainment family.
Did you Wikipedia me?
No, I did not.
He has that memorized.
No, I memorized it.
No, he didn't. All right, who's my mom then?
You know what I'm not going to say? It's not Farrah Fawcett. I know that for a fact.
That's right. It's not Farrah Fawcett.
Yes. But I know.
My mom's name is Lee Taylor Young. She was an actress as well, and did some great movies in the '60s, late '60s, like I Love You, Alice B. Toklas, and Soylent Green.
Ooh.
And so those are some classics. And so she's a wonderful woman. Yeah, Ryan, my father, who's a great guy, like one of my best friends and my hero. And sadly, he's on trial right now. The University of Texas is trying to sue him over ownership of his Andy Warhol portrait of Farrah Fawcett. And so hopefully truth comes out and University of Texas loses. And that's what I'm hoping for now. But yeah, he's doing really well. And rest of my family, Tatum, and everybody else is doing well. Yeah,
so but what I want to get to is now, like I said, your resume is long that you've established yourself, but something that I appreciate is you transcend yourself very well to fans when you speak about the Kings, and I'm assuming that falls back on your local history with LA sports teams. But is there something specific or someone specific, maybe your dad or whatever, that's given you some insight and some more tips for your on-screen personality and your performance for what you do on TV?
Probably a little bit of everything. I think, just growing up watching sports and playing sports and just, being very passionate about that was, helps, right? So I love what I do and I love sports. So that's number one. And, I tried to be an actor. So when I was 19, I guess. I was doing theater in college, and then I basically tried to, be a professional actor, going on auditions and trying to get, parts, and it was very challenging. I wasn't really prepared for, I had some great opportunities, but I just wasn't trained as an actor. I thought it would be easier than it was, and I was wrong. It's really hard, and I got very, very nervous on these auditions, and so I didn't get a lot of the jobs. But I tried for 12 years, so a lot of, studying. I lived in New York for 4.5 years, tried there, and through my entire 20s, basically. And then, so I think that's where I developed, confidence in front of the camera or just in front of people. But I still deal with the nerves that anybody else would, I think, on a day-to-day basis. For instance, right now, not knowing how tomorrow's going to go or not knowing how Sunday's going to go makes my job very exciting. So, but yeah, I think, my dad watching sports with him, thousands and thousands of games, and playing sports certainly probably helped a lot.
Yeah. Okay.
I wanted to ask you, Patrick, we're speaking with Patrick O'Neill, and he covers on Fox Sports West, he covers Lakers, Dodgers, Kings, college football, and Patrick, you were born in Santa Monica.
I was born at St. John's, in Santa Monica.
And you follow, obviously, I would think that you followed the Lakers, Dodgers, Kings, and SC, UCLA. Mm-hmm. How does it feel? You're now, this is pretty much, I don't know, would you say it's your dream here to cover the teams that you followed?
Oh, yeah, I've totally exceeded all the expectations I've ever had as a professional. I mean, like I said, when I went through so much despair and disappointment as an actor that I just thought, I would be happy just, being like a chairlift operator in the mountains somewhere or, bartending, which is fine. And to be able to have fallen into this and, working every single day, it's every single day for sure. Don't take it for granted. And, I'm just so happy to be able to pay the bills and do this job. It's awesome.
Yeah, and I do like this last weekend. I was flipping through the channels on college football. I got to catch the Auburn Alabama game, but I watched the games on Fox because that's what the Pac-12. I'm more of a Pac-12 fan, so I was watching the Pac-12 games and I was listening, and it was a game break, and I was like, wait a second, I'm interviewing that guy on Friday. So it's a cool stuff that you're doing over there.
The game breaks are it's 15 seconds of pure adrenaline.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. It's, it's just, they throw to you and you got to make sure you stick it. And, that's been a blast all year. So now this, culminates with my last college football game of the season tomorrow, but just a bigger role, certainly.
So, okay, you said you're an LA guy. We've established that, but let's get a little more centralized here. Okay.
Sure.
Kyle's a Dodgers fan.
I'm a big Dodgers fan.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't stand baseball. I'm a huge Kings fan. Now, the puck's in your court, Patrick. Who do you go with as your go-to, your all-time favorite
I think you
team?
can mix in the Lakers in this as well,
yeah.
since you covered them as well. Please don't say the Ducks, because that would be really weird.
Why would I say that?
Yeah, because he is not.
That's right. That's right.
That's so odd that you would even suggest that. Well, it's like you're asking me to pick my favorite kid. It doesn't really work that way. I mean, I'm a season to season guy. I'm a fan of all of our teams, but I've been a Kings fan, a Lakers fan, and I grew up as a Dodger fan, and I've been I just finished working the Dodgers for 9 years, so it's been Lakers, Kings, Dodgers. I was a USC football fan, still am, but I grew up appreciating and rooting for UCLA basketball with what John Wooden accomplished, and perhaps it had something to do with what was on television all the time, and there was a lot of UCLA basketball, a lot of USC football. And growing up, I was like a Dallas Cowboys NFL fan, because I like Roger Staubach, but then when the Raiders came to L.A., that's when I became an L.A. Raiders fan until they left, essentially. I hung on for a few years after they left. Now it's just fantasy football and the L.A. Kings.
Fair enough.
The L.A. Kings. There
Thank
you go.
Very much.
There it is.
That's what I needed to hear.
Which sport do you like covering the most? Is it hockey?
Again, it's whatever I'm doing on the day. There's so much that goes into it. the Lakers was a lot of, I felt there was some pressure, it was like, it's the Lakers,
You got Jack Nicholson sitting in the front row and stuff.
Well, it's just different, there's less guys to interview, so you have more opportunity to get blown off by a player on the way in or on the way out, and I don't know, basketball, the NBA, they take themselves really, really seriously. And they do in baseball as well. I just think with hockey, it's just a little more real. The guys understand the job that you're trying to do as a reporter or a host. They're funnier. They don't take themselves that seriously. But, I'll talk to these guys, before they go on the ice, in between periods, just joking around. It's just, so I appreciate, that they make my job a little bit easier covering the LA Kings. And they're a great team and a winning team. And so I just get it's just fun. It's like, man, I can't believe I'm here. They're about to go on the ice in one of the most physical sports and there is, and they're just joking around. I don't know. It's a trip. It's a lot of fun. So, but I do have to say that I enjoy whatever it is I'm doing, but I just like being at the games, I like the excitement of being there.
Certainly. Well,
and
there you have it.
Patrick, thank you again for coming on. Patrick O'Neill, Fox Sports West sports anchor. And it's also
the guy I used to ignorantly despise to now I lose my mind when he's out there on
really
Saturday games.
Did you?
No, I mean, I was a kid. It was just.
Well, you keep saying you were a kid. How old are you?
40.
He's not 40. He's not 40.
20. It was like 3 years ago you were a kid. Have you matured so much?
I'm 26, Patrick. I was 23. I was fresh out of high school.
Just a kid. All right. Okay. You say so.
Oh, well, I regret those decisions I made.
I was younger then than you're 26. That's hysterical. Goodness.
It's giving me the business. But you know what?
You deserve it, Jesse.
I'm my age.
Patrick, I'm
Maybe
happy.
You can refer to being younger.
I'm happy for you going to college football, but seriously, Saturday games, now I'm without you, and now I get upset.
One more Saturday without me, and then I'm there the rest of the way.
Yes!
There it is.
That's what I'm talking
the
about.
Islanders, it's a win. Lock it in.
All right.
Oh, there it is. Calling a win.
Placing my bets now.
Okay. Patrick, thank you again for stopping by.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Pat. Appreciate
and,
it.
All right,
See you later.
Patrick O'Neill, Fox Sports West anchor, and he joined us on the studio. So that was a great interview there.
Celebra Friday.
Celebra Friday.
And I apologize publicly. Let's put it to rest. He's a Kings fan, and so am I.